What is fucking good, y'all? The boys are back. Big tier makers in the spot. Travis Scott fans, the comment warriors, the 90210, big heads out there. We got the tier maker for y'all, man. Y'all see it. 6 albums at the bottom, S to D. We're doing this strictly based on Travis Scott's credibility. So a D tier for Travis is not a D tier for your other favorite artist. Don't get it twisted. And we're starting off with Owl's Fair at the bottom. What y'all got?
Yeah. I mean, if we're being completely honest and we're comparing it to his discography at a whole, and there needs to be an album in every single position, we have to put Owl Farrell D tier.
Yeah.
I just think it definitely was his starting point for solidifying his sound, but there's no memorable tracks or just any replay value worthy of today.
Yeah.
I think Upper Echelon. Upper Echelon's a solid song.
Track.
Backyard is a very solid track too, but that's not saying too much because even compared, to be fair, to other artists that are big now that were making mixtapes back then, there were also a lot of mixtapes in that era that are a lot better than this project. Like shit like Acid Rap, anything like 1999, anything Mac Miller was coming out with. But this was a pretty solid blueprint from what we were gonna hear from Travis, but I think he's just the type of artist that just needed that bigger production budget, bigger team to execute his whole vision. So this is a decent start, but it's got to be D tier for me.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think moving into the next album, we just kind of got the better version, more amped up version of what Owl Farrell could have been. I think I personally would put Days Before. I personally would put it at B tier. There's a lot of memorable tracks for me, like Sloppy Toppy, and then obviously Drugs You Should Try It is a classic. But
I would agree. I think Days Before is better than Honcho Jack Jack Honcho, and I would put it at B tier. I think this is amazing, like Gray, Skyfall, adding on to the tracks that Joey said. Days Before is really, really good to me. I'd say it's B.
I'm valid with that too. I think what the best thing about Days Before is just the consistency, being a shorter project, and just the raw energy that he brought on every single track. Kind of has a lot of the similar energy on Rodeo, but on this one, it was just turned up to a 10. Other than Drugs You Should Try It, just full bangers. I think B tier is solid, but I do think it's close between that and Huncho Jack. Personally, I think Huncho Jack's a very slept on album, but we're going to get to that.
All right, so we got Rodeo. This is the biggest one. This is where the comment heads really like to come out when you like to talk about Rodeo. I'll start it up. This is an A tier album.
I agree that it's an A tier album. I mean, it really depends on, I guess, how many S tiers we can have, but with this many projects, I think there can only be one S tier. I think Rodeo is a classic, a trap classic, or a classic otherwise. Has some of his best songs ever, like Oh My This Side, 90210, Nightcrawler, fucking Maria I'm Drunk. Guys could all name a bunch. But to me, there's just one project in his discography that has a beat. You guys might even have a different one that has a beat, but we good on A?
Yeah, I think I could go for A tier. I mean, personally, I would put it B tier. I think, like you said, there's a lot of classics on the album, but it's not as concise as a few other projects in here to me. But I think we can drop it A tier.
That's solid.
Ooh.
We got Birds.
If we doing Birds next, I think Birds also has to be A tier. I feel like it kind of lacks some of the highs that Rodeo has in terms of Travis's. I feel like if you made Travis's top 5 best songs, at least 2 of them, maybe 3 would be off of Rodeo. Whereas Birds doesn't have that as much for me, but it's just so consistent and you can listen to it every time. The replay value is off the charts. I think it has to be A.
Me personally, I would put Birds at an S tier album, but I don't think if we're gonna only have one S tier, I would put Birds at A. I don't think Birds is worse than Rodeo. If anything, I think it would be a tiny bit better to me personally, but I'd say A tier at the end of the day.
To me, I would put Birds at S tier. I genuinely just like the darker sound of Birds. And to what you said, Noah, I honestly do think the album does have some similar highs to Rodeo, songs like Coordinate or just fucking I don't know, complete switch up to Wonderful or whatever through the late night. I don't know. I think it's got a lot of highs, but I think we can jack A tier.
Yeah, those are probably some of maybe my favorite songs in the album too. I'm trying to think. Maybe like Beebs in the Trap also definitely have up there.
Sweet,
Yeah.
sweet,
Way back, I think is one of Travis's best songs. But
Way Back, Lose, Sweet Sweet, The Ends. This album's crazy. I love Birds so much, truthfully.
That's what I'm saying. To say it doesn't have similar highs to Rodeo, I don't know.
Top to bottom, Birds is better than Rodeo to me.
I agree 100%.
We could put it S tier, bro, to be honest, if we want. I'm chilling with A, though.
If it's two people saying S and one saying A, S is valid. But
say that I'm jacking S tier.
I feel like you could make an argument for Rodeo or Birds if you're comparing them, but I feel like they're so similar to me. Like it's hard to choose, which is why I also put an A, but S is valid. So I think like everybody watching this from what we've been saying probably knows what's coming next with Astroworld.
Yeah, this is his best album to me. I would say, I don't know. I would say Astroworld is better than Birds and Birds is better than Rodeo. And I would say Astroworld's his top album. So I would say S tier for Astro.
I would also say it has to be S tier. It's definitely my favorite album of his. Not by far, but like by like a considerable margin. Like I don't feel bad about it. I think it has some of his best songs, if not his best. Like Stargazing is probably like top 3 Travis songs for me. Skeletons is crazy. Can't say. The best thing is that like the bottom half of the album is just absolutely ridiculous. Like it's so consistent. There's just like perfect songs all throughout.
Yeah, I definitely think it's his most concise album front to back. There's not really any lows on the album as compared to fucking Days Before or Rodeo. And I think I could definitely settle on S tier.
Yeah, I think Astroworld's truly like a 9.5 out of 10. Like literally top to bottom, you really don't have to skip any of these songs. And I think like if you were to even put like my top 5 favorite Travis songs, 3 of them would be from Astro.
Yeah,
at least 3. And then we got Honcho, Jack, Honcho. I'll start it off. I think this is C tier, but I could see like a B tier argument.
I would make the B tier argument, but I feel like if we got to have one in each thing, I'm not mad about putting it below Days Before and above Owl Pharaoh. I just feel like this album, I don't know what people really expected from like a Quavo and Travis album that they thought was going to be better than this. For me, like it has very few, if any, skips. That's not to say that all the songs are perfect or there weren't songs that couldn't have been better, but I feel like it's perfect for like car rides. It's like a winter vibe for me. That's just what I associate it with. But see, he has a lot of great albums, so C tier is fine.
Joey, do you think Days Before is better than Honcho Jack?
Yeah, I would definitely say Days Before is better than Honcho Jack. I think Honcho Jack is, like Noah said, it was definitely a very fun album. It definitely is enjoyable to listen to. Songs like fucking Black and Chinese. It's a lot of hype tracks too. Definitely dig through that cold winter.
I like this. I like what we got so far. I like Astro being the only S, Birds and Rodeo and A. I'm sure everyone's gonna say Rodeo should be S, but yeah, I like this.
So let's talk about it though. Where would you put Jack Boys if you had to put it in here?
Me personally, I would put Jack Boys just around like C tier.
Yeah.
I don't think Jack Boys is better than Days Before. In fact, I think Days Before is like pretty slept on of where people put it. So I would say, I'd put it right at C tier, honestly.
Yeah, I would say Jack Boys has an overall higher quality than Honcho Jack, but like Honcho Jack is a bit longer with like similar quality. So I feel like they're right around the same spot. But there y'all have it. We're saying Travis's three studio albums are his best projects in our opinion. Seems like I think some of you, Joey might like Birds a little bit more, but generally we're saying Astroworld is the best album. So let us know what you think of that below. Did we slander Rodeo? Did we disrespect it? But that's our list. We appreciate y'all. Hit subscribe.
Peace.